Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for the new screensavers is provided by CacheFly at CacheFly.com. The new screensavers is brought to you by Braintree. Mobile app development can be complex, but integrating your payments no longer has to be. With Braintree, your business can accept nearly every type of payment from any device with just one integration. Learn more at braintreepayments.com/NSS. And by Atlassian. Unleash your team's potential with collaborative software tools like HipChat and Jira, which will enable you to work and communicate better together. Visit Atlassian.com to learn more.
The artist behind Twitter's Fail Whale, an autonomous farming robot, Dell's 4-in-1 4K monitor, and more. Live from Twit Brick House in beautiful downtown Paloma, it's the new Screensavers.
Laporte here.
Hey.
It's Calacanis. He's back in studio with us, and I want to thank Anthony from Perth for what? Daniel. I don't know why I call him. Oh, I was thinking Anthony Daniel, C-3PO. Absolutely. There you go. Daniel, he and his buddy are visiting from Australia, Perth and Adelaide, respectively.
Good on you.
And you know why they're here? For WWDC. They're Apple Scholarship winners.
Ah, wow, that's fantastic. First time in the States?
For one of them it is, yeah.
I got a couple tips for you guys. A
couple places they should check out.
But Perth. So it's Sydney, Melbourne, Perth. Like those are the
Perth
three.
is all the way on the west coast.
Yeah, way over there. Yeah.
And then Adelaide's all the way in the south. So we kind of got it both there. But you know what's cool is, of course, WWDC is on Monday.
Worldwide Developers Conference.
Right. Apple's big event, and they are high school computer science teachers. They teach computers.
That's awesome. It's very hard to get into WWDC, even if you pay for a ticket.
Yeah.
There's very few.
Apple paid their way. Apple said, well, you're coming out, doing it.
That's Menchie.
Hey, it's nice to see you. Congratulations.
Thank you, yeah.
Life is good?
Life is good. We had twins. We welcomed our twin daughters into the world about 8 weeks ago. So I didn't really announce this, because it's sort of an announcement today here.
Is it? This is the first public?
This is really the first that people have heard about it. I kept it quiet because a friend of mine didn't announce his kid, and I knew the due date, and I kept asking him, like, hey, Chris, when is the kid come? And like, no answer. And he said, yeah, the kid came, just please don't share with anybody. And I said, okay, why aren't you announcing it on Facebook? He's like, well, the second you announce it, you get the deluge of everybody wanting to talk to you.
Right.
So you don't, the new thing is you don't announce the birth.
So you can be with your babies.
So you can be in the moment, you don't have pressure, you can be there for mom. Yeah. And so we basically just waited 60 days to tell everybody outside
now
the family.
people know. Yeah.
Well, now they do.
Yeah.
Everybody knows. So two beautiful twin girls. My wife did an amazing job. So
I saw the picture.
Three beautiful girls, and they're identical twin girls.
Wow.
Which is sort of interesting, yeah. I had two brothers, so I think the world is like sending me something karmically. Enough boy energy. Here's all the girl energy.
Here's all the girls.
Deal with.
Oh, I don't envy you. It's going to be a fun 13 years. We have a great show coming up. Somebody you know very well, the founder of Robot.
Yes,
they were at launch.
Yeah, they came to launch, and you know, agriculture and big ag is a huge topic because the planet needs to be protected, and there's a lot more population, and we're going to have to figure out food, and we're going to have to make it affordable.
Well, this is an automatic farming robot.
Automatic farming, right?
Wow.
So lot of technology coming to food.
I'm really excited because Yiying is here. She was a student, an art student, who created the fail whale. Twitter picked it up, and of course it became one of the iconic images of the 2000s.
Sure.
Late 2000s, early 2010s. They don't do it anymore.
Well, yeah, because they know
they don't fail much anymore.
Yeah, they hired a new team of sysops. I mean, to a certain extent, Twitter's inability to keep the service up and running kind of helped make her career, which I think is kind of interesting when you think about how life, you know, throws curveballs at you.
She did this T-shirt. This is
unicorns, baby.
This is for Dave McClure in the 500 Startups. It says, "Believe in your effing self."
Yes.
And I don't believe in unicorns, but I believe in my effing self. Look at that. Absolutely. Isn't that beautiful? That's nice.
Dave McClure loves the colorful language. The guy who runs 500 Startups is known for his colorful language.
Like you, an investor.
Yeah, they invest in a lot of startups.
Yeah.
They run, the difference is you have Y Combinator does like 120 startups 2 times a year. And then Dave does like hundreds around the world, like literally a couple hundred a year. I do 7 at a time.
Yeah.
And then I do maybe 4 or 5 classes a year of 7. So I have this magnificent 7 rule. Just work on 7 because that's how many names you can remember.
I like that. I actually wanted to ask you a little bit about the latest news, Gawker news. Gawker has now declared bankruptcy.
Yeah, wow.
And Chapter 11 bankruptcy, which means that's it, creditors, you get nothing, but they are going to try to sell it. They've got an initial bidder. Ziff Davis has pledged $100 million, which seems like a lot of money for Gawker.
What
do you think?
Well, Gawker probably has 40, 50, $60 million in revenue.
When you sold Weblogs Inc., I think it was 113, something like that?
Well, we had, we were 18 months old. We had $100K in revenue at the time. We sold it for $30 million.
$30 million.
So it was one of the, and people said at that time, like, my God, there was only 4 shareholders in the company. Me, my partner Brian, Mark Cuban,
So it was
and Peter Rojas.
It was good.
Well, it changed my life, for sure.
Engadget was a big one.
Joystick, TV Squad, Autoblog.
So Gawker has an Autoblog, Jalopnik. It's kind of
well, what
copying
happened
what you did.
We copied them.
Gizmodo.
They had Gizmodo. I stole Peter and did Engadget.
Oh, okay.
Then we launched Joystick and Autoblog. They launched
Jalopnik
and Kotaku.
And Kotaku.
So Nick Denton and I were like in a boxing match that whole time.
They also have Lifehacker.
They have Lifehacker, which is fantastic.
So it's some valuable properties.
Yeah, and so basically, the enterprise before this Hulk Hogan lawsuit was probably worth about 5 times the top line revenue, about $250 million.
Wow.
$250 million. Nick Denton owned about 75% of it, I'm told. So he was personally worth, before all this, $200+ million.
Wow.
Now, they have been saddled by a $130 million judgment against them, which, who knows if it'll actually get paid, but $130 million.
But the judge has said you can't put this off, you have to pay it
Yeah, you
now.
have to put the money up, is one of the interesting things about these lawsuits. And we can get into what the lawsuit is, but essentially the end game now is they really don't want to pay Hulk Hogan the money, so they're going into Chapter 11. They're going to keep operating the company. They sell it for, let's say, $100 million if they get that for the properties. It wouldn't be unreasonable.
Ziff Davis, which is not really Ziff Davis anymore, has pledged $100 million. That's the starting point.
That's their
so the
bid.
auction might go up higher.
Yeah. So what happens is a judge who's a it's interesting. Bankruptcy judges are on the side of not the owners of the business, not the employees of the business. They're on the side of the creditors.
Right.
So they just look at the creditors and say, how do we get them the most money? So they're going to do, either they'll sell all those properties to Ziff, or maybe they'll break them up and say,
whatever
hey,
gets the highest
bidder,
return.
and we'll see what happens. But it basically means Denton went from what could have been just 18 months ago a $250 million payday personally, to what will be either 0 or 10 million maybe.
Because there's not going to be much left.
There probably will be 0 left for him, or
now,
very little.
Most people agree that this judgment against him will be overturned by an appeals court.
Possibly it would be lowered. It will take another couple of years, and it'll probably be settled before then. So
so he's
smart
still on
money,
the hook for a lot.
Yeah,
of money.
The smart money says they get to this $100 million auction, $125 million. They pay off, Hulk Hogan $50 million. Let's say they settle with him for a third or half. So now there's $50, $60 million left. They give the other $20 million in creditors because they had a couple lines of credit from Silicon Valley Bank.
Well, they even took investors at this point to
get
try
through
to
this.
Get through
so
it,
maybe there's $30 million left at the end of the day. So maybe Denton
I'm
walks
not
away
worried
with
about
$20
Nick.
million.
I don't care what happens to Nick. I don't really even care what happens to Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
What I find interesting is that this all is funded by Peter Thiel.
That gets very interesting. So
now Peter Thiel is like you, an investor.
Right, much more successful.
Yeah, well, he's put some money. First, he was founder of PayPal, made a little money there.
A couple $100 million.
There's a little money. And then he put money into Facebook, at the
couple billion.
first investor at Facebook. So he's doing okay.
Yeah. What's really interesting is, I always like when these stories come up, not to look at what the folks are saying on Twitter, but what is at the core of the story? So what's at the core of the story here is, at the time, Nick Denton and a journalist named Owen Thomas, who was known for doing kind of like snarky stuff before that, they really felt like closeted gay men needed to be outed. That was like one of their things. It was a political statement. And
they're both gay.
They're both gay.
So it wasn't completely without standing, but at the same time, it's not really appropriate.
It's not appropriate. And so Peter Thiel was running a hedge fund at the time, Clarion Capital, had billions of dollars. Now, when you have a hedge fund like that, you have
sexual proclivities, to me, aren't germane.
Right, but you have to put this 10 years ago, at a time when, if he was openly gay, it would have had a very negative impact on his business. It would have meant people in Saudi Arabia, as an example, or other places in the world would never have given him money to manage.
Right.
So he was not openly gay, and they basically outed him.
By the way, that's his choice.
Any reasonable person would say that. Putting the politics of that aside.
And is he a public figure just because he runs a hedge fund? Not really.
He did author a book, so maybe. But the basic interesting thing here is, they hurt him so badly that he felt like he needed to take a stand. So then he couldn't. He basically then funded other lawsuits quietly, which is legal. And we want people to be able to fund lawsuits.
I want to underscore this, because there's two sides to this. One is it has a chilling effect on the right of the press to the First Amendment. But on the other hand, it is completely legal to do what he did.
Yes.
And in fact, that's why the courts get involved to decide, is this a First Amendment right? Is this appropriate? Should this be protected by the First Amendment, or should it not be?
There's no clear winners here, because if you think about it, and I spoke to Peter Thiel recently, and I spoke to Nick Denton recently, like in the last 2 weeks. And I think Thiel's point in all of this is, even if you're a millionaire in this society, you don't have the wherewithal to take on any publication if you've been libeled. But then on the other side, the publications feel like, well, we don't want billionaires who have all those resources shutting down every publication that goes after them. And,
and
you
I
can think about that chilling effect.
I understand that.
Denton would have avoided all of this if they didn't traffic in stolen sex tapes, which is what got them in hot water. If they didn't do things like break people's privacy and not fact check.
Stolen iPhones. They paid money for the iPhone 4.
So they did a lot of things that are either illegal or that any reasonable journalist would not do. They pushed the envelope. So, but journalists circle the wagon because they
we don't, as a journalist, we don't want to get in the position where there's a chilling effect because you don't want to do a story because, gosh, Peter Thiel might sue you. But at the same time, it's going to a court. It's going to be decided by a judge and a jury.
Peter Thiel didn't have the ability to
this is appropriate. He's not
give the judgment.
He didn't pay a hitman to take you down.
No. It's ugly on all sides. Denton would not publish the stories and he said this publicly, he would not have published the stories he did back then today.
It's too late.
It's too late. So here's the thing.
And by the way, I should disclaimer, no love lost between me and Gawker either.
Any reasonably public figure has been decimated by them. And if you've been, you know, exactly.
They deserve what they got.
They really go after people. And when I was in my younger days and a little bit more precocious, I sent a fake story to them about my next startup. They literally printed and I wrote the email. I said,
they didn't check. They didn't ask questions.
I wrote the tip in front of like 8 team members. I said, watch this. And I said, I just had an interview with Jason Calacanis, who's a complete narcissist, and talked about himself for 55 minutes. I wanted to make it believable.
They love that, right?
Yeah. And then he asked me 2 questions about himself, and then he talked about all his powerful friends for 10 minutes, and then he ended the interview.
So far, this sounds very true. Okay.
Right. That's what. And then I said, the business he's doing is he's going to do a talk show network with Don Imus.
Oh.
And Don Imus had just been fired. Literally, they printed the story 2 hours later without ever calling me, without checking any facts. That's their type of journalism, which is take anything to the tip line and publish it. We don't want to live in a world like that.
I don't think so.
We want to live in a world where journalists fact check and when they do this stuff.
And they don't publish for link bait. And this is a really part of the issue is there's so much revenue to be made by getting clickable links. It doesn't matter if it's true or not because the revenue is going to happen either way.
The backstory I heard, and I don't have confirmation of this yet, but that there were people on the staff who would email the tip line things they had heard but hadn't fully vetted and then say, oh, we got a tip.
Yeah.
So now I can print it.
Right.
So, oh, Jason and Leo like to kick puppies.
Right.
Great. Now we got a headline.
Because I got it from a tip. It's got to be true.
I got it from the tip. So and they call this process journalism, which is a way of saying not doing your job and not doing actual work. But they would say like, oh, well, the process is I got the email. Next up I do this. So it's an ugly case. And I don't think it's indicative of anything more to come. I base my advice to Peter.
You don't worry about very wealthy people, individuals, creating a chilling effect on journalism.
I don't because journalists are so powerful and they have such a platform.
And there is a checks and balances here. There's the court system. There's judiciary, and one has to trust that they're going to do the right thing with protecting the First Amendment.
If Peter, Denton, lost the case, if he didn't lose the case, then Peter would look really bad right now.
He'd lose a lot of money.
And Peter looks really bad right now already. Anyway, and he's taking on the people who everybody hates. If everybody hates them and loathes them, and he took them on and is hated, you really don't want to jump down. As one person gave me a great piece of advice when I was involved in a lawsuit that shall remain nameless, which was, Jason, if you jump in the mud with the pig,
You're going to get muddy.
The pig likes it, and nobody can tell the difference between you and the pig. I'll leave it to you to figure out who the pig is in this, but...
Well, there's also the Streisand effect. Suing, nobody would have paid any attention to this Hulk Hogan tape except for the case,
This is not going to wind up... Peter's not going to sue 20 other people. And I have to give Peter a certain amount of credit for his long game, because...
Yeah, he's been doing this for a while.
He's a decade-long vendetta.
10 years ago.
Who is that guy in the castle with a...
Right. Revenge.
Who's that famous revenge guy?
Revenge is a dish served, best served cold.
Ice cold.
Ice cold.
By a former wrestler.
Hey, if you can find a proxy, man, go for it. Go for it. I'm very torn on this. On the one hand, as a journalist, you want to protect the First Amendment.
Right.
On the other hand, boy, I don't like Gawker or what they did to him and a lot of other of my friends and family.
It's a situation where you don't have to be on either side. Right? It's like both parties are probably a little bit wrong. And at the end of the day, if society had accepted gay men 10 years ago,
none of
this would have never happened. So in a way, I look at society also at fault here. Because Tim Cook and Anderson Cooper and
could never
have come out at that time period. And how wonderful is it in our life that the #1 anchor, Anderson Cooper, the CEO of the largest company...
Can I point out, if you're a movie star, you still don't come out.
Right. We still have work to do.
If you're a leading man, you still do not come out.
It is still an issue.
Yeah.
It's still an issue, and we have ways to go in society, but it really is something that everybody has to consider here. If society had accepted gay men,
wouldn't have mattered.
This whole Rorschach test that we're all trying to figure out what are we looking at would never have happened.
All right, that's enough of that. But thank you. I've been wanting to ask you about this all along because I know you know both parties.
Yeah.
You kind of were in a rivalry with Denton for a long time.
I actually like Nick. I think in
this is the funny thing. Unit to a person, everybody says, "Oh, Owen's a sweetheart. Nick's a sweetheart," and it's like, well, they might be sweethearts, but their actions are not.
No, it was particularly brutal during that period of time, and I watched them lie about a lot of my friends. You know, they attacked Elon, they attacked Shenny, they attacked you, they attacked me, they attacked everybody. And, it's like they don't. I don't think they ever really considered what it's like to be on the other side of that. And,
you got to believe in your effing self.
Absolutely.
And I do. And let's go find and meet the person who created this unicorn. Come on, let's go over here and talk to Yiying Lu. She is very famous because she created... Hi, Yiying!
Hi, Leo!
How you doing?
Good to see you.
So good to see you.
Great to see you.
We just met, by the way. This is
Hi,
Jason
I'm
Calacanis.
Jason Calacanis. Oh my God, I'm getting a hug.
Yeah.
Here we go.
So
wow, she's high energy. Huh?
You brought something that
I have 3 coffees.
This belongs in the Smithsonian.
Yes.
You have 3 copies of that?
Actually,
she had 3 coffees.
This is
3 coffees.
I had 3 coffee.
Yiying designed. This was the original drawing.
This is the original back in 2002.
Here, let me hold it up.
Yep.
So now you've all seen the fail whale, which is little birdies carrying a dreaming whale, and wasn't it called the Dreamer?
It's the original name is called Lifting a Dreamer.
Lifting a Dreamer.
Yes.
But you see here in this original drawing, it was an elephant.
Yes.
Which I love, as you
I
know.
know. That was your favorite.
Heart elephants. That's why you gave me a funny look. You asked me what my favorite animal was. I said elephant, and you went.
I know what I'm gonna get.
So when did this become a whale?
Little bit about me. I was born in Shanghai, China, and I moved to Sydney, Australia when I was a teenager. And I studied in London, UK back in 2006.
So you're in school.
And I was in school back then, and I miss my friends very much. And elephant is the higher self, like the animal version of the higher self, according to a lot of culture. So originally in 2002, I was doing this because I was like, oh, I miss my friend, but I study visual communication, so instead of emailing them and say, "Hi, I miss you very much, I wouldn't be there for your birthday or wedding anniversary or like you're having a new baby, I wouldn't be there in person," but I wanted to visually communicate the idea and make it into something like, my wish is so big, it's humongous. So
but it's lifted by little birdies.
Because it's carrying across the ocean, give it to you.
Oh, back down to Australia, huh?
Yeah, and so I was living in New South Wales. Get it? New South
Wales.
South Wales.
New
NSW, got it.
NSW. So back in 2006, 2007, I was studying in UK and I came back and I missed my friend. So I was like, I want to do an updated version. And we have Adobe Illustrator. So I did it like mathematical curves. And so then that's the whale. That's the new version.
Now, how did Twitter get it?
It's destiny.
Did you put it on a website?
Yeah, did they
you put
see
it
it like on a
clip
stock
art?
photo site or on your Dribble account or Behance account or something?
I think I put it back in the days. I actually put it in a lot of different places, and I think where, Biz
Stone found it, right?
Biz actually found me from
Yeah.
the.
And did he contact you before he started using it?
Actually, not. It was really interesting because it was just. You know,
Was
just
it Creative
appeared.
Commons or he
no,
lifted it?
It's actually not Creative Commons.
Oh, okay. So you got a payday.
And
That must have been a great negotiation.
You used my whale without my permission.
well, the thing is, I think I'm really grateful for
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's not
Yeah.
because of Biz pick me up, I'm so grateful that I'm here because of the fact that I think this is the best thing I've ever imagined I would be. I'm supported by amazing people here, and I'm doing what I love, and I think this is.
You love art.
Yeah. I love art.
So
and,
Yiying is
you know.
creative director for 500 Startups. We're talking about Dave. She, by the way, did this for me and Lisa. She did a special illustration because she asked Lisa, "What's your favorite animal?" Lisa said, "A cat."
Yeah.
And asked me what my favorite animal is. I said, "An elephant." And the elephant and the cat are sitting on the whale.
Right.
And I like your artwork is very positive. I like
There's a sense of joy.
It's joyful, isn't it? The whale has a little smile.
Is it supposed to be an island as well as a whale with the spout? Is that the?
Oh man, I didn't even see that.
I think the more you look at it, the more it
The
opens
whale
up.
is below the surface.
Yeah, which kind of makes it really interesting. That's a palm tree on an island too.
Oh,
Yes, you got it.
I figured it out.
Very interesting. Now, you've been doing a lot of great work. We have some of your work here, like the T-shirt I'm wearing. This you did for 500 Startups,
This
right?
is actually going to be in the Pride Week because.
Oh, great! Yeah.
It's got a rainbow
Yeah, this
horn.
is for our LPs. You actually got to get it because Jason's
good.
going to be in our 500 pre-money event. You're going to
Yeah,
be
I'm
a
speaking.
speaker.
I'm speaking.
I just found out. It's awesome.
Yes.
So the LPs will get this specific new,
Okay.
like
So
a
you're
limited
going to get
edition
one
t-shirt.
too.
I'll get one too.
I'm a junior LP. I'll give you $1.
Absolutely.
You're the
Yeah.
first. You're the first
Very
person,
limited
You're
partner.
the first one to actually
need you to-
wear this as a gift. That's
This
yeah.
is nice.
Yeah.
I
I
love
need you to make me a
Thank you.
dragon. You know what a dragon is?
That's my middle name. No, I'm
that
joking.
angels and VCs talk about. So a unicorn, for
Yeah.
people who are watching at
It's
home,
$1 billion
Yeah.
is a
company.
company that becomes worth $1 billion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe it's got 50,
A
100,
decacorn.
250 billion.
Yeah.
Now a dragon
Yeah.
is a startup that returns to the investors their entire fund.
Oh.
So if I have a $10 million angel fund, if one of my investments returns $10 million,
Yeah.
in our company
Now
and
it's
our
a
friends, we
dragon.
say, that's our dragon.
That's
Right.
our dragon.
And so what we do
But you
is...
only broke even on their dragon.
Right, but once you break even and you get one dragon
You're
egg,
playing with the
then all
house's
the other
money.
dragon eggs are on the
Yeah.
house's money. And so what you want to do is we search for dragon eggs and we try to hatch a dragon.
Dragon eggs.
I have a feeling the
Dragons
next
and
drawing will be a
unicorns.
dragon. Tell us about
Hatching dragon.
this one. Content is king and engagement is queen. I love the message of
Yeah,
Thank you.
beautiful.
Thank you. Because Bill Gates said content is king. And the reason why that I'm here is I really would love to build up the engagement
I agree.
in the Valley.
It's only halfway there if you've created great content.
Yeah.
The next step, and this is what we, I think, have done pretty well here, is engaging an audience in what you're doing. And I think
Yeah.
that's the key to a lot of content nowadays, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody, when you were doing the honeymooners, it didn't really matter if your audience was engaged.
No,
or
you
not,
get
right?
letters. You get letters like
Yeah,
a year
big
later
deal,
or whatever.
yeah.
No, here
but
you-
nowadays, you don't succeed in new media unless you get the engagement
Well,
of
look,
your
I mean,
audience.
the initial announcement here is always a super fan, right?
Right,
Who's in
right.
town. I mean, that is a life-changing moment for them.
Now-
So what do you do at 500 Startups, by the way? What is your day-to-day? Do you make logos for the companies?
I actually did a lot of logos in the past. I was working with portfolio company without even knowing they're part of the 500 portfolio company.
Oh,
it's kind of
interesting.
crazy. Back in 2010, I was actually contracting when I was still in Australia, teaching at university, and I was doing a lot of projects because I traveled back and forth, and I was working with a lot of portfolio company of 500 back in the days when they have like batch 0.
Wow.
I mean, you call it batch. Like, what do you call 0 here? You call it batch.
I don't know.
O?
Batch. You could call it 0, yeah.
Zero,
Yeah,
the
zero.
beginning,
So
the
back,
first
yeah,
one.
the
First
very,
batch.
yeah, even before the batch one, batch
Yeah.
0. So eventually I bumped into Dave like in person finally. He was wearing this t-shirt says form follows functions. Can I say
Whoa!
Can I say that?
F-bomb.
You're the first person we've ever blooped on this show.
Wow.
Yeah, and I
Form follows F
yeah,
and function.
Yeah,
Yes.
F and
Yeah.
function. And I look up, I saw the form follow F function. I was like, I love this guy. And I looked down, I saw he's wearing sandals. But in Australia, we don't say sandals. So I said, oh, nice thong. So that's how.
Gotcha. Oh, right. In
And
fairness,
Dave was, in fact, wearing a thong.
fairness
so
to
it's
you, he
okay.
was actually.
Yeah, yeah,
that
he's
is his
well
preference.
known for
We
that.
would never know.
Me, I like a little me undies,
Now,
boxer
let me-
briefs.
let me-
but- what do you charge for a logo? I got this. Because when you
Oh, yeah.
started,
Yeah.
what did you get paid? Like $30 an hour or something? You take a logo, you make
Actually-
$200, and now what do you make?
Actually, it's interesting. That's actually a really interesting question. I always believe in there's this story about Picasso when he was in a restaurant and there's this lady who's like his admirer and he approached Picasso. He's like, "Oh, I love your work. Can you please like draw something for me?" So Picasso did this amazing illustration of a dove with some leaf and then handed it in to her and she's like, "How much is it?" And Picasso gave her a number. And she's like, "Oh my God, how can you like charge so much? It only takes you 1 minute, less than 1 minute."
Yeah.
And then Picasso said, "No, it's actually taken me 40 years."
Yeah,
Right.
That's
So
right.
Very good.
this is my answer.
So what is that, like $5,000 a logo if I wanted to hire you? 10 grand?
We can talk
She's
about it
younger
on
than
stage.
Picasso.
Did you get equity in the companies if you make a logo for them? Did you try to get a little
Get
equity?
a couple of shares of stock.
A couple of shares or
Yeah,
no?
a little equity.
Well, we can talk about it later.
Okay.
Now, let me talk about this. By the way, do you use Illustrator? Is that?
I do.
So it's all vector art.
I'm actually wearing like, this
your
is represent.
Photoshop buttons.
I'm wearing
Yay.
Twit TV and I have
And also the Adobe
I have
Photoshop
Adobe
and
and
Illustrator,
yeah, I love Adobe.
So this is very exciting because, believe it or not, the Unicode Committee, the Emoji Committee of the
Emoji
Unicode Committee, has agreed to add a dumpling. Actually, they have added it
Yeah,
to the emojis because dumpling is something eaten in all cultures.
Yes.
You've got
Pierogies.
pierogies,
raviolis.
You
Yes.
got bao, you got dumplings everywhere. So this is, and you got to design the first dumpling emoji.
yeah.
Actually,
All right,
let me show you this
very
one.
important
This
question. Is
great.
it a Shanghai dumpling? Is it going to have the soup in
I
it?
think
A
that's
soup
a
dumpling?
Shanghai
Or
soup
what did you
dumpling.
model your dumpling
This
after?
is actually shui jiao, which is the soup dumpling.
Yeah,
but,
soup.
But the Shanghai dumpling, it's more rounded.
It's round, yes.
It's like the Ding Tai Fung, which is
Yeah,
like
Ding
a
Tai
little,
Fung, yeah.
little
God, you guys
mini
are making
version.
me so hungry.
What, and does it have the crab over in it or no?
It could be anything.
Could
I
be
mean,
any sport,
this
okay.
is more like a generic dumpling. So we actually had 4.
This is a
emojis.
Xi'an dumpling. I know because I made them in Xi'an, and that's
Oh.
exactly what they look like, right?
We
Wow.
studied Chinese
Yeah,
in university.
I
That
know a
was
little
fun.
bit
I've
about
had the Shanghai
chopsticks
dumpling.
myself. Yeah.
And you made the chopsticks.
So the
and-
chopsticks, this is the
Takeout container.
the
Are
takeout
these all
container.
emoji? The new emoji?
The 4 emojis. So I work with Jennifer A. Lee, who used to be a writer at New York Times.
Yeah.
And so we worked together. She wrote the.
She raised money to get on the emoji committee, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
So we actually did it together. It's like a sort of collaborational project.
Thank you, because it's something we had to have.
I got to ask you a question about the emoji committee. Like, what's in those meetings? Like, do they vote? How many people vote?
Did you go? Did you get to go to the emoji?
Yeah, I did actually. It was
Like,
pretty-
what emojis did they vote down this year? Which ones did they say, you know what? We really don't need
They
the
added a
chimichanga.
hot dog, a hamburger, pizza.
No chimichanga.
No chimichanga.
Chimichanga out.
yet.
Not good for you.
No
Fried.
chimichanga yet.
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 I'm going to lobby for a
Unicode
quesadilla.
is they got a lot of room for more emojis. There's plenty of room.
What qualifies you to be on the board of the emoji
That's
board?
true.
Money.
That is true.
Oh, you have to buy your way into the emoji board?
I think there at the moment there's 11 sort of more official, but there's
Yeah.
also a lot of people like anybody could go and
So like the
listen.
W3C has somebody
Gotcha.
on there.
Now, when Kim Kardashian comes out with the Kimoji collection,
Kimoji.
or whatever it is, is there any chance of those making their way into the
I don't
standard
think
one?
so.
Not
I
in
don't
a
think
million
so.
years.
Not. I don't think they
I
would.
kind of
actually-
feel like her butt's kind of iconic at this point.
They're
It's-
trying. What they're trying to do is represent all the cultures of the
Right.
world, right? And have everybody who uses emoji have some symbols that make sense to them. And I
Right.
think the dumpling's a good choice because it's a universal
It is.
symbol.
I wonder where they stand on because there's a couple of religious icons. I wonder where they
You
stand.
gotta be a little careful, right?
because
Yeah.
you don't want to put the Muhammad.
I think there's a
icon.
Shinto priest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a temple.
There's a temple, yeah. But see, they
There's
were
a
originally
church.
Japanese.
Yeah.
There is a church.
There's a church.
Yeah, you're showing your emoji knowledge very well.
My emoji game is strong.
Pretty
A strong
strong,
emoji
yeah.
game. Well, you know, when you have a 6-year-old daughter, her favorite thing to do
Yeah.
is to just text her mom emojis. But she sits there and she really contemplates what she's, sending. And it's 30 of them.
That's so cute.
And then she wants to talk to mom about what she sent.
Well, that's a visual language.
I mean,
Absolutely.
Yeah,
For a
because it's
6-year-old.
transcending the linguistic barriers.
Yeah.
Tell us about this one, Yiying. I
Oh.
love the owl.
Thank you.
I'm a big fan of owls.
This is actually
Wisdom.
a fun project that we did. I think I was collaborating with a bunch of people back in the days. Thor and Derek, we were working together on
and
this.
you got a
project.
babushka.
It's
It's a
Matryoshka
babushka.
doll,
It's a
yeah.
matryoshka.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this is actually the outer door. I actually made this one with the babushka door on the back. So the actual, you can actually
So
search
there's a
it.
physical thing.
It's a physical thing. It's called nesting Twitter.
Oh,
And it was
I
Dick
want.
Costello. It was back in the days.
Who
Dick
are
Costello.
those people?
I want one of them. You know what's interesting
Oh,
about
it's
this
on
one?
it. It's on the screen.
They are.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Clash of the Titans because if you look at the, it looks like a mechanical owl because of the gears in the eyes.
Oh.
Did you ever see the movie Clash of the Titans?
Not yet.
In the movie,
wow.
I believe it's Clash of the
There
Titans,
is,
has the
there's a mechanical
mechanical
owl.
owl,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
It's like
yeah.
a major character.
I love
I
how you
love
can read
Yiying's
that.
art. Are you
Thank
going to
you.
have a showing sometime soon of all of this?
Yes, I would love to.
Yeah, we
Let's
got to
do it.
find you a gallery. Jason, can we get on that?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. I
do it.
love this San Francisco
Let's
one, by
make
the
it
way.
happen. This is actually
gorgeous,
gonna
too.
be for you.
What?
Yes, this is.
This is my favorite of all of them. I was about to say we didn't talk about the
that's
one
why,
I like
That's
best.
why I framed it. This is
I
for
like
you.
this one the best.
I
You're
know.
kidding me. You can't really?
This is for Lisa and
Oh my
Neil,
God.
and this is for you because I heard that you're running in a Presidio. So I'm like,
Well, I run over the Golden Gate Bridge
There you
2
go.
or 3 times a
So
week
this is
now
for
because
you.
it's my favorite thing
This
to
is-
do.
I made 50
Oh my God.
signed and numbered prints for 50 people who are, living in San Francisco, and,
my
and
God,
also I feel
thank
like
you.
very connected to
Well,
them.
Jason
You
really,
get
he
it.
moved from LA to San Francisco. He finally acknowledged the supremacy, the ascendancy of the San Francisco Bay Area.
It's pretty amazing. I mean, from
Yeah.
the basketball team to like the opportunity. I mean, it's
You're
just
going
amazing.
Monday, aren't you, to Game 5?
I'm going to go to. I went to game
Now,
1, 2. And I'm
I
gonna go
always
5.
look for Kevin Rose on the floor there. Am I going to see you
Yeah.
on the floor sitting there?
I usually wind up in the second row. I have a friend who's
Oh,
got second row, and I
sorry.
get those.
Got
But
so
the
far
front row
away. How
seats
do
are a
you-
little bit gratuitous.
Yeah, and they sweat on you. You don't. So Yiying, where can we find more of your work?
I mean, you can find me on my website, which is yiyinglu.com.
YIYINGLU.com.
That's right. Yi means happy, and Ying means creative.
Oh,
Happy
Very
creative.
nice.
Your parents knew something about what you were going to turn into.
Kudos
and things.
giving my grandpa.
Grandpa.
Yes,
Grandpa
it's
came up
from
with the name.
Grandpa,
That's
yes.
very nice. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I really
Amazing
appreciate it.
work.
Thanks for having me.
And thank
So
you for the
beautiful.
gifts.
I mean, it's unbelievable. It's completely unnecessary. I'm so.
Coming
It's really interesting because when I came up, I said, "This one is the most beautiful."
Isn't that funny? You fell
It's
for that
so.
one.
I'm reading mind.
I feel like it's
I'm
so
keeping
elegant.
this one, so
well,
you-
that's very personal.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, Lisa says no. She's taking this one. All right.
It's for both of you.
for
I'm gonna
both of
go.
us. Thank
I'm gonna put this in the room where my daughter and I do creative projects.
Yay.
Right, we have
that
a
neat?
little creative room.
Excellent.
I'm gonna put it in the creative room.
Excellent.
So beautiful.
Thank you, Yiying.
My
It's such a
pleasure.
pleasure
My
meeting
pleasure,
you, Yiying. You
absolutely.
don't have to leave. You can
Oh,
stay there.
yeah,
I'm gonna,
thank you.
We're
Okay.
going to leave you. You stay there.
You stay here.
We're going to leave you and walk over here while we get ready for the robot. But
Okay.
first, let's talk about our sponsor, Braintree. If you are a mobile app developer, a website developer, you know you want to have a good payments system. You may be tempted to write it yourself. Can I say, do not? Do not. This is something you don't want to mess with. You want to let the pros handle it. And nobody knows better than Braintree. Go to BraintreePayments.com right now. You can check out the amazing Braintree V.0 SDK that allows you, by the way, you've seen this. You don't know it maybe, but you've been using Braintree because you know who uses Braintree? Uber uses Braintree. Lyft uses Braintree. When you see two companies in competition that use the same payment system,
Yeah,
you
that
know
tells
it's
you
the right
something.
one,
Tells
right?
you
It
something.
tells you something. Airbnb and Hotels Tonight both use Braintree.
Absolutely.
And GitHub uses Braintree, so it is
Doesn't get any bigger than
clearly
that.
the best solution. They took GitHub from zero to unicorn,
Yeah.
and they can do the same for you. No late nights, no complicated recoding, no stress, because anytime there's a new payment system,
Sure. Apple Pay came out.
yep, just check a box. When Android Pay came out,
Bitcoin.
just check a box in your control panel, and you're done.
Yeah.
Venmo, Bitcoin. Yes, you could take Bitcoin. It works in Android, iOS, or JavaScript clients. It works with .NET, Node.js, Java, Perl, PHP, Python, or Ruby. It's great code. It'll just take you a few lines to integrate it. It's so easy. And by the way, your first $50,000 in payments are fee-free. So that's a great way. If you're a startup, you're just getting going,
Yeah.
you want to have payments, save yourself the coding time, and you're going to get a little nest egg to get going with.
The other thing is you really, which is kind of in the weeds, but that's kind of my job, is compliance issues.
Oh, God, you
are
don't wanna mess with
very-
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and security is becoming a bigger and bigger topic
Yeah.
with the hacks that are going on.
Yeah.
And we have a partner like Braintree. You're going to be compliant, and
Out of the
you're going to be
box.
secure, right?
Right.
When you write your own code, then you have to go pay hackers to go break it. Trust
Right.
me, Braintree has done that already,
you
and
know-
they've made it really secure.
You know what? It's also cool is that with Braintree Payments, there's I can't remember what the number is. I think it's 70% of mobile carts are abandoned. You know,
Sure.
people go through the whole process to pay.
Yep.
and then they go, yeah, I don't trust this. There's something that doesn't feel right. It's put me to a new site, whatever it is. This eliminates that.
Yep.
In fact, with their zero-touch API, you don't even have to have a cart.
Right.
Look at what the Pinterest is doing with buyable pins. That's Braintree. So you don't even have to have a cart. You just boom, boom, done. BraintreePayments.com.
Sure.
And by the way, use our URL so that we get credit. BraintreePayments.com/NSS. You could say Jason sent you, but
of course.
But use it at that URL.
Sure.
Kent Cavender-Bares is here. I think you know Kent.
I do. Hey, Kent, good to see you.
Hey, great to see you, Jason.
He's the CEO and founder, I presume, of Robot, right?
Yes.
Now,
Yeah,
it's not R-O-B-O-T, it's R-O-W-B-O-T.
Yes. For a reason.
Yes.
Why?
Not to be confused with rowboat, which some people...
Oh, you know what? That's good. You could say rowboat without the A,
Yeah.
right? And then everybody will know, or not.
Sort of.
Exactly.
What does Robot do?
So we're changing the way big agriculture is done. So think of rows of corn spraying across 90 million acres in the U.S. It's really hard to get on those fields during the season as the corn gets taller, but a lot of work needs to be done. Fertilizer needs to be applied, other jobs. We're making it easy to do it the right way because too often those jobs are done ineffectually simply because today's equipment is ill-suited for the job.
Have they mechanized it already? I mean, is there some sort of mechanical way of doing it, or?
Oh, absolutely. So
Yeah.
today's equipment is huge. Think 120
big combines, right?
It's
Yeah.
big and it's dumb, isn't it? Right? It has no sensors in it. It has no knowledge really of what is actually going on. No sensors.
Yeah, it's certainly getting better and better. But you think about a 120-foot wide machine going through a field at 10, 15 miles an hour.
Holy cow.
It's hard to do things precisely, and you may not need to treat every plant the same because there's something like 30, 40,000 plants in an acre. But you probably want to treat parts of that acre differently than others. And so we're just trying to sort of upend how things are done. What you're seeing here is a machine going at about 3 miles an hour between 2 rows of corn. And the idea is this crop is rapidly taking up nitrogen fertilizer. But by and large, the majority of nitrogen fertilizer went on fields like this 3-6 months earlier. And so then it sits on the field waiting for the crop and is easily lost in runoff. And so that's all kinds of problems. And it's an economic loss for the farmer. So we're really focused on that because we can help improve their profitability. But then it creates a bunch of environmental downsides, which increasingly is going to lead to regulation if we can't help farmers manage inputs like nitrogen properly.
So this is just a little old thing.
It is, yeah.
It fits between 2 rows of corn. For those people who are just listening right now, it's like a little. The width is sort of like the width of a bicycle almost. It's not very wide.
And it's completely autonomous. There's no human operator.
Correct. So what you're seeing is this machine. It's about 2 feet wide, 7 feet long, diesel-powered, 4-wheel drive. It's traveling here on a half-mile-long field, all on its own. So it's got sensors. Think autonomous car. It's got those sensors on the front of it. It sees the crop. It constantly adjusts its course so as not to run over the crop. And then it's doing work as it's going along. It's applying fertilizer right at the base of those plants.
So that's the main use of it, is fertilizing the plants.
That's how we got into it. So I started the company with my brother Charlie, who's a large-scale farmer.
Oh, that's neat. Oh, that's neat.
Domain expertise.
So you're scratching Charlie's itch.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's got a few thousand acres of corn in western New York State. And I'm an environmental scientist, started out as an ag engineer long ago. And so we wanted to do something together, and we wanted to tackle the biggest problem facing agriculture, which is the leakage of nitrogen. What you're seeing the machine do here is our second job, which is seeding what's called a cover crop. So it covers the soil, improves soil health, and it needs to be done before that corn is harvested.
It's kind of cute.
It's like it literally has an R2-D2 kind of feel to it.
It's really cute.
And when you think about, what's going to happen, and this is amazing.
Now, what's this doing?
This is for fun. This is to show that it's actually a pretty rugged machine.
It can do anything, right? So that's interesting. So it's planting alfalfa or something to cover the ground. So once the corn's harvested, the topsoil won't blow away.
Yeah, become a
exactly. And in much of the corn belt, if you wait until after the corn is harvested, early November, which is the easy time to seed that cover crop, it might be snowing. So there's no time for it to grow.
Do you do pesticide as well?
Not today, but I think long term, this is a delivery mechanism. It's a platform.
Right.
So we would obviously take on herbicide, pesticide, but the mantra will be we want to use those expensive inputs judiciously, save the farmer money,
You bet.
And hopefully use less of it and have less environmental impact. All that.
Are you able to know which quadrants? I don't know what you call them in the farming industry, but I know they sort of make things into
I think they're called
acres,
hectares.
Hectares, yeah.
Yeah.
Are you able to know through sensors what's going on in the soil and intelligently deploy, the fertilizer?
Like it needs more nitrogen
Yeah, this
here,
box
less
needs
there.
more than the other hectare. Well,
Yeah,
how far off is that?
Well, let me think what the right metaphor is. You need your self-driving car to just get down the road first, and then you
Right.
need it to find you the place to eat, right?
Right.
So we have pulled off what nobody else has done. We've got this little machine to travel around in fields. We'll just start layering in sensors to be able to understand the crop and then understand the soil and be able to fine-tune those fertilizer applications. There's great modeling data that's being done by others that will take advantage of that. So yes, absolutely. As this unfolds over the coming years, we'll be really fine-tuning things.
Based on what you've learned, at what point do you think, the back-breaking labor of picking grapes and olives and all this
no
stuff?
kidding, the stoop
When
labor.
is it? I
Yeah.
mean, it sounds science fiction, but I mean, look, we're looking at a robot doing fertilizer. Why can't the robot
Right.
pick the strawberries? At what point is that back-breaking labor done by robots?
Yeah, well, it's a great
5
question.
years,
There-
10?
Yeah, it's probably in that time frame. There are a couple of startups that I know of that are working on strawberry harvesting, tomato harvesting. So the trick there is you got to be really nimble and you got to start using things that touch the fruit that don't damage it. Now, interestingly, so we just put a piece up on Medium a couple days ago. I'm really passionate that you don't just want to throw robotics at the solution unless it really is the right answer. So we got into this simply. We weren't trying to bring robotics to agriculture. We were trying to solve this big problem. We sort of backed into it, and then it just happened that our other brother's a robotics expert, so he was able to help us.
What a family!
Yeah.
Your other brother works for Uber in their autonomous car division.
Yeah, so he kind of.
Oh, that's not a joke.
No,
it's for
Kinda
real.
got poached by them 14 months ago and started their center in Pittsburgh. So he built that up to
Wow.
I don't know what the official number is, hundreds. And so he's one of the leaders there.
You did a This Week in Startups with
Yeah, he came on, and there's a
Ken,
really
so.
interesting trend that's going on that I'm seeing as an angel investor. We invested in a company called CafeX. Entrepreneurs are looking at what are the repetitive tasks in society that, if we were able to automate them, would free up those people to do more creative pursuits in their life and not.
Or just be out of work, which is.
Which is a bigger discussion. But I think it's going to be very interesting because people are starting to actually quantify how much people's time is worth and also the danger to humans. So I just saw a robotic company that I won't get too much into detail of it, but there are inspections that occur in different locations in sort of facilities. And imagine if you were inspecting a bridge and you had to send people up to look at every rivet. What if there was a robot that literally climbed up the bridge and took pictures of everything? Well, when they actually quantify how much it costs to do that on the bridge, it might be $150,000 every time they do the bridge. Or if it's a big bridge like Golden Gate, it might be $1 million to inspect it. Well, if you have the robots, you could build a bunch of robots and just charge the Golden Gate Bridge $250,000 and nobody has to accidentally fall off, etc.
But we should be clear that this is what you're doing already is not non-trivial. I'm looking at your Medium post, and 90 million acres of corn is planted in the United States every year, and a lot of nitrogen wasted. Now, nitrogen is
majority, I think.
is a pollutant. You don't want to have that in the streams and the rivers. It's expensive for the farmer. So anything that helps you do this more efficiently by itself is a huge improvement in the way they do things. How many of these do you have in the field, so to speak?
Yeah, so we've got our first one. We're terribly capital constrained. That's our situation. We're trying to do something really big here, and I think investors are warming up to the idea. We've got some great milestones in the bag. We're going to be doing some additional testing.
So this is the very beginning of this.
Yeah, we're early on. We've got we just forged a new partnership with a big ag company, so that's exciting. And part of our story is that we did use capital efficiently working with my brother's robotics company. So before he was at Uber, he started Carnegie Robotics, a spin out from CMU. Nice. And so now we've got to stand on our own. It's the right time to build out our engineering team.
What happens with investors is everybody's a coward. Nobody wants to write a check, and then one or two people take a flyer, and then like lemmings, they all rush in. I can tell you when I invested in Uber, 17 of 20 people I shared it with did not invest.
They thought you were crazy.
I had one investor told me, I'll do it if you make it into enterprise software. Convince Travis to make it enterprise software.
What we need is a box.
And sell.
We put the box in a rack.
He wanted to sell rack software basically to cab dispatch companies. So the Petaluma cab company, the Bay Ridge cab company would each have their own little app.
Oh,
and I was like, I don't think you should invest. But in this case, I can tell you, robotics, it's going to be a hard road. And then it's going to explode.
I did a great interview with Kevin Kelly. He's got a new book on innovation, how it's going to change the next 20 years.
Yep.
One of the things he said I thought was so insightful, and I've been repeating it again and again, just as when electricity became widespread, people would look around, farmers would look at their pump and say, if we applied electricity to that, we'd really have something. Same thing happened with the internet. A little thin layer of internet spread on your magazine. Suddenly you've got Weblogs Inc., right?
Or the QCat.
Or the QCat. Well, it could go either way.
It could go either way.
It could go either way. But here's his book, and this just came out. It's called The Inevitable. But what he said is we're now at the point where machine learning, artificial intelligence, autonomy is going to be that thin layer of innovation.
Absolutely.
And you take it and you spread it on things like ag equipment, and suddenly you have not only a huge innovation, but a huge new business and a brave new world. And I think this is very exciting. I wish you the best of luck, Kent. Seems like a great idea. People can, if somebody wants to learn more, where can they go?
rowbot.com. You can find us there.
Yeah, and we didn't even get to the big data side of it. I mean, there's big ag, but then there's the big data side of it.
Yeah, I visited Monsanto last year. We basically, about 15 people from Silicon Valley got invited out there. And they had the top management. They walked us around. They showed us everything. It was a very interesting discussion.
Don't sell to Monsanto or John Deere, okay? Can you do me a favor?
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'll come talk to you first.
Yeah, come talk to me. Yeah.
They're kind of pragmatic about it. They basically sell organic stuff too.
Yeah.
And it turns out the farmers, a good number of them, are like, you know what? We don't want the GMO stuff. We want organic.
Yeah.
And
so they're willing to sell you those.
They're willing to sell you that.
Patented
In fact,
seeds
I think
as well.
The non-patented, even the non-patented organic ones, they sell those too. And I think what's going to happen is local agriculture through robotics and artificial intelligence.
Well, imagine. I mean, your brother with only 1,000 acres is I'm sure, relatively small corn grower, and yet the efficiency he could add could make a huge difference for him. So I think that's really exciting.
There's a chance in the future you could order on Amazon, a robot in a box, or a series of robots, and literally if you had like 2 extra acres,
cornfield in a box,
you just like take out your smartphone, you're like, make me whatever is got the most abundance.
Hey, up here in the wine country, I know many people have just a few acres of grapes. It's a very valuable thing for them to be growing, and they probably would like a little bit of help. So that's another area to look at.
What do they do? They sell them to like another winery?
Yeah, because most of the wineries don't grow their own grapes. They buy grapes, they aggregate them, and they make their own wine. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Can I make a little plug for the big data part of this?
Please. Yeah, tell me about that.
So, as you guys know, everyone's crazy about drones, and especially in agriculture, there's lots of money being thrown at using UAVs in ag. By the way, it's always windy out in the Midwest, so it's pretty hard for those drones to operate in some cases. But I'd like to make a plug for being down on the ground and being able to measure the plant and the soil. It's
interesting
because it's a whole different game. Trying to measure anything from above, you have to make inferences and assumptions.
It's actually
touching the plant, you're in a great spot.
It's a great point because we've been talking about drone delivery. Obviously, Amazon released that video. Everybody thinks, oh my God, we're going to have our Amazon boxes dropped out of the sky. The other thing that I think is more likely is you'll be walking down the street and you will see just a little like box go rolling by, and the people are working on these little rolling boxes that go 5 miles an hour, or walk like the speed of humans, and they show up at your front door. You come down, you type in your code, it opens up, and you take what you want out of it. Those are going to be the big thing, like these little on-the-ground robots, because they can't hurt anybody.
Right.
And if you try to steal
they
it,
don't
it's too
fall
heavy.
out of the sky.
They're not going to fall out of the sky.
Yeah.
The drones, they're going to fall out of the sky.
Eventually. What goes up must come down.
They are coming down.
Thank you, Kent.
Yep.
Hey, great
to
talking
talk
with
to
you
you.
both.
Great,
Thanks very
great seeing
much.
you again.
Take care. Good luck.
Cheers. Good luck.
That's neat. This was a coincidence. We booked him, and then we found out that you had talked to him and you knew all about it.
So what we do at the Launch Festival, and what I do with my conferences is I have a research team. I say, find me 250 things that have not raised funding that are promising.
That's a lot.
And it's hard, but we pick categories, and we have 9 people do this, and they each get 2 categories, 3 categories each, and we say, we're going to give them a free table, 5 free tickets, and we won't charge them anything, and they come, and this was one of them, and people were really fascinated by it. So
that's cool.
Trying to give back, and because it's really hard at the stage he's at when you have the product working in the prototype. So you put $250,000 in yourself, and you got to get some investor to validate it or a customer, one of the two.
Right.
And most of the time, 7, 8 out of 10 times, the companies fail at this exact moment.
Right.
And this is where they need the most help. It's sort of like the NICU of babies.
That's really cool.
You really have to be ginger with them. But I think he's got a good shot.
I love
smart
the
cats.
idea. Yeah.
Smart cats.
It's time for a call for help. Hey, my God! Don't put that. No, stop!
I
What
can
are
help you. Don't do that. I never
Don't
understood this.
Oh God, no!
No, I never understood.
Why are you doing that? I think that's Tom from Danger Circus, if I'm not mistaken.
Again.
Good to see you. Welcome back.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me on again. I've run into a small tech problem, which, by the way, the last problem, I've got a solution for. So you guys absolutely did help me.
Okay. Hey, but I want to say real quickly about the Danger Circus, because we had Tom on Triangulation, or maybe it was on this show. I can't remember. It was on this show. And you were about to do your Danger Circus in San Francisco. How did it go?
No, Midwest tour, and it went fantastic. We got very lucky.
You had just done San Francisco, I guess, or something
just
like
done,
that. Yeah.
Moved from west to the mid. Now we're starting on the east. So the Midwest shows went really well. We're taking a month off as a group. I'm doing a one-man show next month.
Nice.
And then we really kick off the college portion of our shows. Start September, October, November. Which, if you check the website today, there's only one date because we're signing contracts in the next few weeks. So if you check in the next few weeks, if you're on the eastern and say from Indiana over to New York, part of the country.
Do you throw knives at people on the spinning wheel? You do that knife throwing on the spinning wheel? That one always gets me.
You're in the right area.
Yeah.
There's danger.
Bull whips on top of 6-foot unicycles and juggling knives and chainsaws and playing with staple gun and roulette and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Staple gun roulette.
Carrie
sort of like Deer Hunter, you're saying?
Yeah. Carrie is a great magician and a terrible role model. That's what it says on his bill.
Yeah. It's basically that's Christopher Walken in Deer Hunter.
Yeah. Only there's more than one staple in that staple gun. So what can we do? It's nice to see you again, Tom. Welcome back.
Yes. Thank you.
What can we do for you today?
Okay. So I've got sort of two connected questions. Here's what's happening. When we perform in colleges, we've given up on having the audience turn off their cell phone. It's just not in the DNA of anyone under, I'd say 30, but we're performing for 18 to 21-year-olds, right?
No, it's not going to happen.
And I'll be honest with you, it doesn't bother us that bad as performers. We've watched the teachers, professors, whatever, the people in charge, sort of turn off your cell phone, everybody, like they're in class. And they wouldn't, of course. But I'll tell you, they're pretty good at being polite about it. I didn't see a lot of this. They might have been down here with it being cool, but it didn't bother me.
Yeah.
I see them come up, they take a photo or a little, what's clearly like a Snapchat, 20 seconds, put it down, watch the show. No problem. So we decided to lean into it.
Sure.
So we say, hey, get the phones ready, and we'll tell you the best times. We'll actually cue you for the best shot for a visual show. So I would, do that with my finger as I'm eating the fire, and then right at the cool part, which I know when it's coming, I'd go now. And they get a really cool shot of
That's smart.
Yeah.
I think it really bugs me. I'll go to a museum or a show or whatever, and they say no pictures. And I feel like, if you would let people take a few pictures, put them on Instagram.
Get it out of their system.
It would help you. This is
for sure. Oh, absolutely, marketing.
I understand if you're standing on 15 chairs and it's wobbling, you don't want somebody to take a flash picture. But I think the fact that people share pictures of you is a free publicity. So I think bully for you for embracing what was inevitable anyway, right?
So what's the question?
And they don't use big cameras with flashes anymore, so they're actually less distracting.
Right.
Here's the problem.
Yeah, what's the problem?
We tell them hashtags and we ask them to share them because win-win. You put it on Instagram and I get a little free publicity, like this thing behind me, blah blah blah, right? They're not doing it. I'm using Tiny Eye, reverse image search. I'm suggesting hashtags. I'm trying to think of what
They're not using the hashtags.
Or I can't. So 2 questions. One, WTF are these kids doing with these photos? Why did they
They're
even
Snapchatting them, and you'll never see them.
That's fine. If I knew that for a fact. However, you want to share it, buddy, I am in.
Yeah.
But then also the second question, or the tech guy, reverse search, tiny eye, what am I missing?
Yeah.
What are some techniques?
So what you're saying is you will take an image that and drag it into Google's image search, and in theory, Google will find matching images.
Or you can do it by
And
location.
even both you're at the show. If
Do it by
Jason's
location.
the picture, the odds are Leo's photo is very similar. So I
Right.
find Jason's and put it in the reverse image search, same
Right.
writing, same costume, same theater, same
Right.
school.
Yeah. So are you having a hard time finding it, or you think people are just not posting it because they're not motivated and
They're not
hashtagging it?
making it public.
There's my problem. I
Yeah.
don't know.
So that's a very
Am I bad
simple-
at searching, or are they bad at posting?
Right.
Yeah. So it's probably they are not posting them, and so you should give them a incentive to do so. So there's 2 incentives. One is you could give them kudos, and the other thing is you could actually give them some value. So what I would say is if you use the hashtag danger, and you don't have to make it a complicated one, just danger
Short's good.
circus or
Yeah.
just DC or
Right.
D circus, whatever. Put D circus on there, and what we're going to do is before the show ends, we're going to give a T-shirt to somebody who does that, or we're going to give a free pair of tickets, something like that. And then you could also put up an old TV
That's
with
what
a
I
Twitter
would do.
search. And there's a bunch
Yeah.
of people who've made little Instagram kind of collage
easy.
things.
Yeah.
And you say, hey, if you take a picture, you'll see it in the lobby.
Right.
And then the third thing I would do is, which I've been telling people to do, is you hire an intern at your events. You take pictures of people, you share them on their accounts, you ask them, hey, can we take a picture for you? It's free. So if you set up like a step and repeat of the Danger Circus and the knives are there and they can set up, then you post it to social media,
what's a
you
step
tell
and
them what your account is. And that is a
That's
low-cost thing
smart.
to do. So a step and repeat you can buy for $100 now online. Step
A
and repeat.
step and repeat.
Step and repeat is when you see at like a Hollywood function, they have the logo of like
Yeah,
the movie
everywhere.
Star
Yeah.
Wars, and then it steps one over and one down. They repeat it. There's the logo again.
So it's a backdrop that would say
backdrop.
Danger Circus, and
Right.
any sponsors
and
or
then
the
you,
university.
what you do is you put a table of gag things like the fake knives. They all do poses. You take the picture of them, you share it, you print it out for them, and you just eat that cost, which would be an intern for $100 a show.
Step and repeat is at stickersandbanners.com. It's one of or .net, I should say.
These things are everywhere, and
I
actually
see
the
'em
local
everywhere.
Kinkos do them. They literally, it's $100 for one.
Yeah.
So what you do is you set up like a permanent camera, you have an intern do it, you have to have another person asking their Twitter handle or their Instagram handle, so then they will retweet it and get involved.
It's really, what I'm hearing is you have to commit. It's
do.
like,
Right.
it's one thing to go up on the stage and say, hey, if you're going to have any pictures of us, make sure you share with the hashtag Danger Circus and then
Take the
move
friction
on.
out. You take responsibility.
You
of it.
gotta get all in there. A couple of things come to mind. One is Mike Elgin's son Kevin, when he married Nadia. Everywhere around the wedding, it said hashtag Kevin and Nadia.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that they got more sharing because it said, please share your picture.
Yeah.
But again, people are well disposed. You're there, you're friends, bride and groom, you love them. So that's going to be natural. The other thing, I completely agree with you. Every time I go to a 49ers game, on the scoreboard, they're showing Twitter pictures, hashtag get your name on. And Lisa and I take all these pictures. They never get us on the gosh darn scoreboard. So, but I'm saying that we do it and we share it, and I think that that's the other thing is give a reward. So I love the idea of having a banner up or something. I bet they do this at the Warriors games.
They do, and there was actually a company I looked at investing in, which I haven't been able to invest in yet, but they basically take, whatever monitors, they turn them sideways, they put the feed there, and then they put what's on the menu. So it's sort of like a menu with the feed built
that's
into it, and then they
interesting. I
tell
like
you if
that.
you post there, so you're like, yeah, I'm going to check in
I'm
on
gonna
Facebook.
be on the
I'm going
menu.
to check in.
Yeah.
And then you show up on the menu, and then if you do that, you get like one extra topping.
Yeah.
So it's pretty neat.
I have to say, because you're dealing with 19-year-olds, you're dealing with the newest crop of millennials, and no one understands what's going on in their heads, to be honest with you, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I look at my son who's 21, and how and why they share is a great mystery. It's a great mystery.
I
They're
think it's
clearly
like-
doing it, and I bet you they're
Yes.
doing it on Snapchat or somewhere.
They consider that, like we look at this
They
as
wanna
like
be
an
a
adjunct
mystery.
to real life.
Right.
They look at this as real life, and real life is kind of on equal footing as what's happening on Snapchat.
Interesting. Maybe he understands. I don't
barely
understand.
do.
Kids
I'm barely
today.
holding on.
Yeah. Hey, get your
Well,
microphone plugged in
the
there.
giveaway thing is huge because one nice thing about college age, you remember being in college, you're broke. No matter
Yeah.
how wealthy your
Yeah.
parents are, somehow
Yeah.
you're broke.
Yeah, you'll wear
So
a free
any
t-shirt.
sort of free button, free 8x10,
Sure.
free bottle of water,
Yeah.
free T-shirt. I mean, absolutely anything. You need it. You're age 17, 18, 19, 20 years old. You don't have very
Right.
much. I can
point.
give away almost anything.
The
So
step
it's
and
kind of
repeat
nice.
and the bunch of props. That will go viral.
I love the flipping it aspect of what you talked about
Take the
because
friction out.
so many times you go to a place, they take a picture and they try to sell it to you at the end.
Do the opposite.
Let's flip that. Let's take a picture and post it on social media. Let's give you
and free.
something.
And you could ask them, can I email it to you? And now you got somebody
Love
for your
that.
email list. And getting somebody on your email list is $3 or $4. Each one is worth.
Oh, email
Right?
list.
Boom. Then they can
Yeah.
go to Danger Circus 2.0. When you,
Yeah.
It's like a Cirque du Soleil thing, right? You just add more dangerous stuff.
Tom,
Lose it.
are you building a mailing list of visitors?
I do. We have about 600 people, which for a small-time theater show is enough to sell enough tickets.
That's
if
gold.
that makes sense.
Each
so
one of
yeah,
those
500-600
is
people is
gold.
fine.
But think, if you went around to the show and you had some intern, some
Yeah.
kid wants to learn fire eating, just take pictures and say, put your email in here, and we
For sure.
or even they make kiosks, right? I do this all the time at Disneyland. We did this. You go to a kiosk and they have a picture of you with a thing in the background, and we'll mail it to you. What's your email address?
$25.
Boom, bada bing, bada boom.
Hit you up, $25.
I'm glad Danger Circus is doing well because we need more danger in life.
We need more vaudeville in this modern
I
age.
love it. It's
I'm
modern
convinced.
vaudeville. Isn't that great?
Yeah, it's you got flappers in that show or just dangerous
No,
stuff?
it's a
There you
there's
go.
the three of us. So we've got a magician, a juggler, and then I cover the circus sideshow aspect. It's a three-person
Put a
comedy.
little burlesque and flapper in, I'm in. Some flappers, a
He
little
wants
burlesque.
young ladies.
I just think you got to balance out the danger with a little beauty.
Little sex.
That's all.
Sex and danger. That's the
There you go.
magic
That is
combination.
the magic combination.
By the way,
Oh, don't do that. Oh,
don't do
God,
no, that's
with the-
nuts. That's crazy. What are you
Stop
doing there?
with
Put the
the
chainsaw down.
Chainsaw and the apple. That's where I draw the line.
My friend Brian Brushwood, who taught me how to do fire eating,
Yeah.
Fire reading, I'm cool with.
told me, and he's right, you always swallow just a little bit of that white stuff, white fuel or whatever.
It's inevitable. Yeah.
It's you're gonna have a little in you.
A little bit.
Not so much.
There's actually a lot of this challenge culture, the danger culture online, where kids take these challenges, like the cinnamon challenge.
Now they're burning
They're
themselves.
burning themselves. What
Stop
are they
it.
doing? They're putting lighter fluid on their bodies and then lighting it on fire.
You can't do that. Burns infect quicker than any other injury you're going to get. Trust me, I'm a professional friggin' fire eater.
Yes.
Do
And it's-
not cut yourself first while you're cooking dinner. Do not burn yourself cooking dinner. The infection rate
I got to tell you,
it's
burning and drowning is the two worst deaths.
Yeah.
I saw. It's all
You'd
just to
rather
get.
burn
It's
in
just
a
to get
fire,
hits on YouTube too. That's
Burn
the
in
thing
a
that kills
fire
me.
or drowned?
Burn in a fire. I'd much rather drown.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Drowning is terrifying, but burning would hurt more.
Burning would hurt like crazy, and
Yeah.
Anyway, ask Tom.
Would
he
you
knows.
pass out from a burn?
Which would you rather do, burn or drown?
drown?
I'm going to go burn. I think
You're
you
gonna
go
go
quicker.
full burn.
You go quicker.
I think your brain turns off faster.
I've been told that when you're drowning, you
Yeah.
fight it, you fight it, you fight it, then you take your lung of water and you're dead
I'll go
because you have a
drowning.
heart
I'm going
attack
drowning.
immediately. So just
gonna
the
go
trick is if you're drowning, don't fight it. Just go. Just say, all right,
I'm a fighter.
Just give in to the darkness.
give
Just
in to the darkness.
Go to the light.
I'm wearing a unicorn.
Go
I
to
shouldn't
the
be
light.
saying things like that.
It's a
Thank
dark
you, Tom.
episode.
It's great. It's great to talk to you. Good luck with the Danger
Stay
Circus.
safe.
The website is
DangerCircus.com.
easy to
Perfect.
remember.
Easy
I
to
love
remember.
it. Hashtag Danger Circus, kids.
Stay
Share it
safe.
with your friends. Do not burn yourself.
Just saw a really interesting thing. Guy is doing a Title III crowdfunding for his immersive theater thing. So you go, you buy tickets, and you buy a share of the company at the same time. So
That's what T-Mobile's going to start doing. They're going to give you a share of T-Mobile stock, right?
It's the new thing.
Right?
What about something like that? But the laws seemed a little complicated.
Yeah, SEC. They keep
Just
getting.
start. No, SEC has figured it out now. They did a little thing. You can raise up to $1 million.
Thanks to is that the Jobs Act?
That's the Jobs Act, Title III. Just started a month ago. It's
Nice.
there's a little signaling problem. The companies that can't raise money go do that, but we'll see.
I gotta just sit down and interview Jason. Thank you, Tom. Have a good one. Florence
Good job.
Ion is our guest host next week. If you've got an Android question, here's how you can ask it of Florence.
Need tech help? The new screensavers are here with answers. Email your tech questions to newscreensavers@twit.tv.
You don't day trade. You're not a day trader.
I do. I put all my money into a balanced portfolio.
Oh, shut up. What I want is a screen. Let's come over here. We're going to talk
Never
about
did.
this screen that's perfect for day traders or anybody who wants to see more. But first, a word from Atlassian. I love Atlassian. If
They
you're
make
on a
HipChat.
team, They make HipChat.
Love HipChat.
We
Use
live
it
in
all day
HipChat.
long.
We live in HipChat. Atlassian does Jira. I first discovered Jira when we were doing our new website. It's great for agile development. You can track and manage and assign tasks. You can keep track of what's going on,
Create
no matter
user
how
stories.
complex. Yes, user stories. You make the user story. The whole thing. It's amazing.
It's the modern development of software.
Confluence, which I hadn't tried, but I think our team is using this now.
Yeah.
To document equipment and work processes. Confluence will let you create and share content, organize results, bring team members up to date.
Yep.
Instant messaging with HipChat. Man, we don't even do email anymore. We're starting the new studio build, right?
No more threads.
We had a guy. He was managing the project. He kept emailing Lisa. She said, "Put it in HipChat.
Please.
Put it in HipChat."
Please. And you can mention somebody, they get an alert.
It's beautiful.
You-
And it
you'll
works
be
on
out-
every platform.
What I love about it is, like, I will be at the gym or having a lunch or doing other CEO activities, shopping, sleeping, whatever other things CEOs
Do CEOs do that? Yeah.
Yeah, CEOs basically, the
shop
CEO
and
job is
sleep.
to make sure everybody else is working. And like literally, like, I was in the hot tub and like, doot, you know, I get my little HipChat alerts. I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna respond to this. Like, so I don't have to be a blocker.
Right.
But it is magical for your email box.
You must
All
have it.
those ridiculous threads that never end, they just go right into the right chat
is
room,
the
and the
thread.
integrations are the key. You can pipe in integrations into HipChat.
Oh yeah, we use Panopta, which lets us know if servers are down, and it goes right in there. Bings you, but also it's in there, and we have a record of it, and it lasts
There's
forever.
a bunch of those services that allow you to like sort of
awesome.
our glue. So we
All the
actually get
integrations.
anytime anybody buys a ticket to one of
Nice.
our events, we get an alert of who bought it and their LinkedIn account and their Twitter handle. So my salespeople and my team can see who's coming to the event.
It
Works
is
really well.
awesome. And then finally, there's Bitbucket, which is for the programmer types, and Bitbucket will let you test, review, and manage code in real time. Atlassian has it in spades. They got it down, man. They know what they're doing.
Dialed
You
in.
Check it out. They're dialed in. There's the
Australian
phrase.
company, I believe.
Are they?
I think they're from down under.
What does Atlassian mean, I wonder? It probably means something in Australia.
It feels like some
It's
kind
Australian
of like
for beer, I think.
it might be some like Greek god or something.
Oh, that's Foster's. Never mind. Yeah, sounds like it. Anyway,
It's Australian. For
Atlassian. It's Australian for productivity, mate.
Absolutely.
Yeah, go to Atlassian.com
Australians love that when you.
and team up. I know.
They just love it.
I know they're going to throw stuff at me.
Yeah.
Anyway, we thank Atlassian for their support of the new
Great product.
screensavers. Look at this. This is awesome. This is
4K, huh?
43-inch 4K monitor from
Beautiful.
Dell. How much would you imagine this costs?
$2.
$1,300.
Really?
This is the P4317QC.
35% less than
I couldn't not buy it, but okay, so if you've got a 4K, and most computers now do a 4K display, that's awesome. But watch this. This is the thing that I really like. I can now switch over here from 4K to, let me pick this here.
Dell makes great models because I had the
love
Dell 30-inch. I bought back like 10 years ago. Remember they had that Dell 30-inch monitor that changed everything?
Yeah.
And it was so affordable.
I have it still.
Yeah, it's incredible. And
have
I
it.
bought that for all of our bloggers at Weblogs Inc. as a gift, like.
Right.
Because it was like,
Because
if I buy this,
productivity.
it goes through the roof.
Through the roof.
Through the roof. They
Watch
actually-
what I'm doing here.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
I just switched from 4K to 4 1080p screens. Now, this is why I
Oh,
mentioned
my
day
yum,
trading.
yum,
Imagine,
yum.
I always see day traders, they
got
have all these
CNBC up
monitors.
here, you watch,
You're
Twit
watching
over
the
here.
ticker and all.
Yeah.
Or if you're a sysadmin, you can have multiple. And by the way, this has built into the back more than 4 inputs. It's got HDMI, mini display port, even has VGA inputs. In fact, that's what we're using for the screensavers. That's a VGA input. This is my Macintosh. This is the ultimate gaming machine that's over here.
A PC, Windows.
A PC. So it's all mixed together. Linux, Windows, Mac.
Beautiful.
We're using video inputs. I love this thing. We've been
Gorgeous.
Really, now it's taken us a little configuration. HDMI is kind of funny with the handshaking and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think
Specifically
now,
with Macs, I find.
Yeah, I had
like
to
Macs have their own like quirkiness in terms of the pixels and the retinas and everything.
Well, this is a Retina display,
Yeah.
so that was a little tricky, but we got it all working. And I
Got it
think
all
it's
working.
really
It's pretty
cool.
tight.
Amazing price.
$1,300, you said.
$1,300. The P4317Q.
I'm gonna order one.
Yeah, you know what? Get two. They're cheap, and then you have them side by side, and now you have 8
Windows.
windows. I don't know if you'd put them up this way or sideways.
I wonder what
do
the
you
weight
have?
is.
You said you have the curved 34.
I have the iMac with the Retina, which is gorgeous, but
Love
it's not
that.
wide enough. So I
No.
got the wide monitor that allows you to have It's
But
letterbox.
did you retire the iMac or just move it to the
keep it
side?
on the left,
Yeah.
and I put my music over there, and I'll put stuff over that's not primary, and then on this one I have.
But you're using the big screen.
Yeah. So I have the hip chat, my email,
Right.
and then usually whatever else I'm working, whatever app, like if I'm using document management or something.
Lots of studies show that the more real estate you have,
Wonderlist.
the more productive you are.
About 10 to 30% more productive depending on what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's great for having data and stuff like that. So in our office, we'll have Chartbeat up, which is a
Right.
company I'm an investor in that just shows you like live data of how who's on your website and stuff like that, and what pages are trending. So I think that's great. I mean, we were talking about the circus guy, the Danger Circus. Imagine if he had this and he put it on the wall at the show, or put it on a
There you
stand,
go.
and you put Instagram here.
Yep.
And you put your Twitter here,
Perfect.
and you
Yep.
put a message here in a keynote or a PowerPoint presentation, and then you put video from the stage here. You know, you could just put all of them in one, and this would be something you would have to hire a developer to do previously and have multiple feeds. So I could see this having a lot of retail application
The
as
one
well.
thing missing, and we were talking about this before the show,
Is
and
it
I
heavy,
haven't
by the
figured
way?
that out. I would love to have 2 portrait displays. You know?
Yeah,
2
of course.
Side
it's a
by
no-brainer.
side.
It
And
must have that.
You'd think, but I
Maybe
can't
it's a-
find a way to do it on
They
here.
might have a firmware upgrade for
That
that.
maybe there's something like that.
I wonder
but
what the weight of this is. It looks pretty
it's
hard.
not bad. I mean, John's been schlepping it all over the studio.
I love those stands on your desk where they're like featherweight and they're weighted, and you can just
It
use
has
the
a
monitor.
Visa mount. It has a
Has
Visa
the Visa
mount.
mount, yeah.
So you could put this on the wall
Maybe
and
you
then
have,
reposition
but on the
it like
wall,
that.
but on those desktop arms, you're gonna need a strong arm, I think.
Yeah. Yeah,
have to
maybe a
strong
balanced
arm
arm. This is, of course, the ad. They show a sysadmin looking at all
Yeah,
his...
of course. No
but
brainer.
I don't know how productive you'd be with all that going on. That doesn't feel like productivity. That feels like insanity.
You know what the thing is? Everybody at work is doing social media constantly.
Right.
It's crazy. There's like
You
this
can
new.
keep your feeds up.
There's well, sometimes it actually is work, you know, if you're the social media manager, but
right.
there's this new software that like tracks how much Facebook and Twitter and other stuff you're doing that has nothing to do with work, not to rat you out to your boss, but so you can actually manage it yourself and know how much you're goofing off at work.
See, I think what they really should do
Well, here's Oculus.
is you have your Quake going here when you're the sysadmin, and then somebody calls, you can have, instead of having to stop the game, you can keep
Yes.
playing the game
Sure.
while you're helping somebody with
Boss
a
button.
remote
Remember
access.
the boss button?
Yeah, you don't need a boss button because you got 4 screens. The boss can't tell what's going on. Bosses aren't that smart.
The best thing I saw is the sysadmins have like versions of Reddit or Hacker News or other things they
I
want to
keep
read.
that running all the time.
You know what they do though is they have it in like a sysadmin window where it's like looks like their text, looks like they're writing code.
Right.
They're not writing code.
Just
they're
do a
reading
green
Reddit.
screen. Just do a green screen. Yeah.
They just make it look like.
Let's
that.
walk one more time.
One
We
more
got
time?
one more place to
Walk
go,
and
and
talk?
this is walk and talk as we go
Walk
over
and talk
to
as
our
we go here.
mail
This is
bag.
what the mafia guys would do in Brooklyn. They go for
Yeah.
what's called a walk
Just
and
pretend
talk.
Aaron Sorkin wrote this show.
And you just
Yeah.
when you walk and talk and you're talking, we walk. You have to
You're
hold it
walking,
like this so they don't
so
lip
they can't
readers.
see the plays.
They don't want you to see
as
that.
you're doing
right?
it
Just do
because
that.
the FBI doesn't have that many microphones. Could you believe? Did you see the FBI had put bugs outside of the court in San Francisco
What?
so that they could hear the conversations lawyers were having with their clients?
Dirty.
That is dirty.
Dirty.
But it just points out that you are being observed and listened to all the time now.
The privacy is an illusion.
No more
Your
privacy.
privacy is an illusion.
Mailbag time. Fire away.
Whoa!
Whoa, look at that.
Bang! There it is.
Bam.
It just flies in. Does it have saw blades on it? It's
Yeah.
like a Mad Max.
It's BattleBot ready.
Designed by the Danger
Yeah.
Circus.
Someday we're hoping to enter the mailbox in the BattleBots.
You can shred your mail.
You know, we went to watch the BattleBots. I love the BattleBots.
Was
We've
it
had
good?
them on. Do not go and be in the live audience. This is what I finally realized. Television
Is
when
edited?
is edited
What?
heavily.
You're telling me
So-
Game of Thrones isn't one long shot?
We sat there for how many hours? 4 hours. They kept coming out and revving you up. They have a great guy.
Reset the bots.
Warm-up guy.
Yeah.
He warms you up. He says, all right, it's all going to depend on you. Your energy is going to make these bots fight. It's going to be great. And they're playing the songs. Everybody, you know, they're playing, what was it? Pump. What was the song? The Bruno
Bum,
Mars
bum,
song.
bum,
They're
bum,
playing the
bum.
Bruno Mars song. Uptown Funk, and everybody's going,
Uptown
ha!
Funk,
And they
yeah.
said, okay, we're shooting you in the audience, ha! And then he says, okay, well, hold on. Hold on,
the
one of the
battery.
bots is not working.
Yeah, it's not plugged. We got to plug it in. We got to change the batteries. Like, really, dude?
We saw 2 battles in 4 hours. But watch,
Really?
it's going to be on the premiere. The new season's on this weekend.
Yeah, that's a little-
It's going to look like it's massive excitement, nonstop.
Not yet.
Not.
Not yet.
I have a question. I think this is more for me than you, but I'll
Okay.
I'll let you talk if you want.
What up?
In episode 56, which was like yesterday, I think,
Yep.
you gave a yes to defragging an SSD. Oh, let me be very clear on this. It was Alan Malventano, who's an SSD expert. I stopped defragging once Windows XP came out, and I agree with you, since I found out that NTSF made it not needed anymore, which I agree. Modern operating systems, you don't need to defrag. He says, why would you defrag? Why not tell us what defragmentation is for those of us who don't know or have never done it? So optimizing the disk in the old days meant getting it in kind of order so that when you had a hard drive that had to seek to find the thing, didn't have the head go here and there and here and there, that really slowed down access. So you put all of the data from a file in contiguous sectors so it could read.
If you had a huge document or a music file, you put it all in one place.
Exactly.
But when it wrote it, it would just write it as fast as possible.
Well, wherever there was a hole.
Yes.
So it would be all over the place. So you would optimize. You don't need to do that anymore. Operating systems optimize in the background. They sit, they watch, they reorganize. Yeah. And you really don't need to do it on an SSD because it's random access. It doesn't take any time to read this cell and that cell. There's no head going back and forth. It just goes that cell, that cell, that cell, that cell. It's fast. But it turns out defragging does have a value on SSDs because it forces something called trim. It forces a read of every sector on the hard drive, and then the trim kicks in, and that does speed up hard drives. So that's the magic thing. Now, I don't want to get into what trim does because it's way beyond my pay grade. But trust me, you do want trim with an SSD. SSDs slow down a little bit over time. Trim releases the unused cells, which are not normally released, and lets you write to them, and that can really make a difference in the overall throughput. Although I remember being at CES, standing in between two Intel engineers, they made the best SSDs at the time, arguing. One guy was saying, oh, trim doesn't make any difference, you don't need trim. The other guy was saying, oh no, you gotta trim. And these were the guys who made the drives. Yeah. So it's not completely clear that you need to do this. I have a question for you. Last time you were here,
Yes.
Last time you were here, you kind of blew it.
Okay.
You told everybody you were doing a reality show.
I am doing a reality show.
Did you get in trouble for that, by the way?
No, it was fine. A lot of the press has picked up on it already.
Now everybody knows.
Yeah, so
Tell us about this.
Reality TV is an interesting animal. Obviously, you and I are broadcasters, and we love what we do as broadcasters. Yeah. Reality TV is something I shied away from for a long time because you don't have control. And as you're saying, we were talking about...
It's like BattleBots.
BattleBots, like... It's highly edited. It's kind of scripted.
It's all in the editing.
Yeah, and so I was like, I don't want to be on the other end of that. The thing that was interesting about this opportunity with the Weinstein Company was they wanted to be partners with me. So I own the show with them.
Oh, that's good.
Which is kind of a big deal.
That's unusual.
It's very unusual this day and age. And I said, listen, if we're going to do it here, I want it to be authentic. So what it's going to be is essentially, and I haven't really talked about it publicly too much, is it's going to be just like my incubator in San Francisco, where we'll have 7, but probably 12 companies. And over 10 weeks, companies will be eliminated. I didn't want to do an elimination show originally. I was like, I'm not eliminating people. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, but that's the fun part.
Well, and then I said, okay, so they said, what's your goal? I said, I want to be the #1 show on TV. They said, okay, here are the top 20 shows. I said, which ones are not elimination? They said, oh, this show wasn't elimination, this show wasn't elimination, this show. I said, never heard of those shows. Right. They said, exactly. They lasted 1 season.
That's the drama. There's the drama.
We'll do an
Are you going to make
show.
it to the cut?
And then what will happen is at the end, whoever wins is going to get a big round of financing. I'll join their board of investors. And they'll sort of get Series A. So if you think about Robot, which we just had on, he's kind of struggling.
Right.
Robot is exactly the type of company. In fact, that's a company I would invite to be on the show. So we're getting there. It's going to be fun.
It's great to see you. Congratulations on the twins.
Yeah, thank you. It's great.
You're getting a Model X.
Model X is coming. Yeah.
Yeah, I am too. Someday.
Yeah.
What do you want to plug? Anything?
One thing I'm working on right now is I'm trying to fix journalism a bit. And the incentives, as we talked about, are all link baiting. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I found is when you do email is a very interesting relationship. So I took the Inside app and I stopped the app because it wasn't really working. We get 1% of the people who download it would ever use it. Then it was like 0.5% of the people who ever download it.
In general how apps are.
So it's really frustrating for me because I'm like, I made a great app. Apple featured it, great reviews, and nobody's using it.
People download them and then they just never use it again.
So I took the email list and I started emailing the top 20% of the list, a little email every day of the top news. 50% of people, 40% of people is opening it. People hitting reply, they love it. So then I started Inside Tesla, which is a newsletter about Tesla. So if you just go to inside.com.
I got to subscribe to that.
Yeah, it's tesla.inside.com.
Oh, I got to subscribe to that.
And then I just started the Inside Daily News. And then I'm doing Inside VR and AR.
What a good idea.
And so 5,000 people signed up for this newsletter, the Inside Tesla one, and it's twice a week. And I hired people who are really smart to just summarize the news. And you know what's happening? This newsletter has 62% opened the last episode. 62%.
That's amazing.
Anyway, this is it's a little experiment, but it's working.
I learn something from you every single time, and I thank you all for being here. We do the new Screensavers every Saturday afternoon, 3 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, 2200 UTC if you want to join us live.
It's about a 4-hour show this time.
It was, not so bad. They were giving us the rap signal about an hour ago, but that's okay.
You and I never have that. The whole crew's like, I have dinner plans.
We're going out. I don't know what you're doing.
Tickets.
Would you stop talking now?
Yeah.
You can also be in the studio audience. We love having you. Just email tickets at twit.tv, and
so awesome.
We welcome you. We've got people from Georgia and Australia.
We got to go take some selfies.
That's good. Let's go do some selfies.
For sure.
And thanks for being here. We'll see you next time on the new Screensavers. Bye-bye.